All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to English and Composition Software for today's students. Our presenter today is Sydney Smith of Hawks Learning. Now, if you have any questions at all for the presenters during the session, please feel free to enter those into the Q&A section at the bottom of the Zoom room screen, and we'll be able to address all those questions at the end of the talk. We're also going to be giving away 3 $25 Amazon gift cards at the end of this session. To enter for a chance to win, all you need to do is click the link in the chat to enter your name onto the prize wheel. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Sydney.
Great. Thank you so much, Trevor. I appreciate that introduction. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to get started and welcome everyone to another session of the Innovative Educators Summit. I hope you guys have been enjoying our conference so far and been listening to some really great sessions that we've had throughout these 2 days. So as Trevor mentioned, my name is Sydney Smith and I am an educational courseware representative here at Hawks Learning. And today I'm going to be walking you through English and composition software within the classroom. So I'm going to be sharing a little bit more about Hawks Learning and who we are as a company, and then how we are able to utilize the English materials that we do have within the everyday classroom. So to go ahead and get started, just a few things that I'm going to cover today, one being our core values. So if you are not as familiar with Hawks or you've maybe never seen our software before, just want to learn a little bit more about who we are as a company, I'll be sharing some of our core values. We'll then jump into the Hawks English resources that we have available, including the student experience of our online courseware system, and also jump into a little bit of our instructor experience as well, if we have a little bit of time remaining. So to begin, we have been around for about 40 years helping students succeed in their courses. Hawks Learning was actually created by a professor himself, where he knew that he needed to create something to assist the students outside of the classroom when he was not there to walk them through each piece of their homework. So out of that came Hawks Learning, and a few of our core values you will see right here on the screen, and the first being affordability. We know how expensive the college experience can already be, and we do not want to add to that for the students. So for this reason, we do try to provide very affordable materials for each and every student. But then also, we are the only publisher to provide lifetime access to all of our materials. So that means that once a student purchases, they will never have to go back and repurchase. This means that they can use one title across multiple courses, such as the reading and writing course or support course, in addition to an English composition course. Also, if we ever go into a new edition, we'll even go back and previously update the students that previously purchased our materials with the new edition completely free of charge. So we really do want to make it a lifetime resource for your students. Next is superior service and support. We really pride ourselves on family style service here at Hawks. So for that reason, if you ever decide to use Hawks in the future, we actually provide you and your students with a phone number to call. And if you call our phone number during our open hours, then it is our company policy that a live person is going to answer that phone call within 4 rings. And that just ensures we are going to answer your question right away and be able to help you right then and there. Of course, if you aren't available during our open hours, you or your students can always contact us through our 24/7 live chat. And then also, we always pair a training and support representative that's dedicated to assist you not only throughout the implementation of Hawks, but to help guide you throughout your entire use of Hawks as well. And then lastly, the third value that we have here on the screen is our mastery-based approach. We are founded upon the mastery-based approach, which just holds students to a higher standard to allow them to build a really solid foundation of the content to ensure that the objectives that the students are learning here within their homework assignments, that they will be able to translate those to future higher stakes assignments, future courses, and in their everyday lives as well. So now that we walked you through just a little bit of who we are as a company, I do want to share as well some of the functionality within our software. I know that learning management system integration is very important to our instructors. So for this reason, we will put a Hawks link right there in your LMS for your students. So whether that's Canvas, Blackboard, D2L, or Moodle, the students will click just directly on that Hawks link and it will automatically open their account for them, create their Hawks account, and enroll them into the correct section. So they'll always just be able to access Hawks directly from their LMS. We also have that grade sync tool, which will sync over the grades as well. Next, when it comes to purchasing, students always have the ability to purchase directly from us if they'd like to. They can also purchase directly from their bookstore if they would like to utilize their financial aid. And then lastly, we do work with schools for the inclusive access model as well, where students will be charged through tuition. So now that we went through some of the features that we do have when it comes to working with schools across the nation, I'm now going to share a little bit more about the English materials that we offer. So to begin, we do have our Foundations of English title. This is a developmental title designed to really help prepare the students that may need a little bit more remediation or need to focus on those developmental skills to best prepare them for future English courses. So this is going to cover topics such as study skills, reading skills. We have a very large grammar mechanics chapter as well, just to give the students as much grammar practice as possible. And then lastly, we will end with that research chapter to help best guide them into our English composition materials. So once the students take that developmental English course and they utilize Foundations of English, they're ready to move on to the next class. We do have English composition. And this title was designed specifically to fit an English composition 1 course. It covers the topics that you'll see right there in the middle of the screen, a little bit more higher level, focusing on the modes of writing, the writing process. We've added in a lot of rhetoric as well, and then research for the students. But again, always connecting back to some of the remediations, such as the basics of grammar and mechanics. So what you see on the left side of the screen was designed for that credit level English Composition 1 course. But on the right side of the screen, you are going to see a photo of our English Composition with Integrated Review. And our Integrated Review title was designed specifically for the co-requisite course. So if you are teaching an English support course tied with the credit level English composition course, then English Composition with Integrated Review is going to be a perfect fit for those courses. The students just purchased this one title and they could use it for both of those courses they're enrolled in. Next, we do have some additional supplemental materials. We have guided notebooks that are available that allow students to put their pen to paper just for immediate application and additional assistance when it comes to wanting more practice. We have a grammar workbook as well for Foundations of English. But then here we do have our new reader that is called Navigating Narratives, a Thematic Reader. This is going to break down into 6 different units for the students, and we provide over 200 different readings for the students here. One of the biggest things when creating this reader is that we wanted to include readings that students could relate to no matter where they are in their lives, whether they're adult learners coming back into the classroom or freshmen really scared to start their college career. So we have different readings that can relate to each and every one of those students. Next, we also have our Reading and Writing Handbook for the college student. This is going to be a pocket-sized handbook that is a great reference and guide for students that may need a little bit more help when it comes to referring back to how to input citations, how to write a paper in the APA format, and things like that. So this is not only great for every English course that they have, but also for any course that they're going to take throughout their college lives. So they'll be able to take it with them. Again, it is going to be that physical pocket-sized handbook, and we did provide all of the brand new updates to MLA, APA, CMS, and also CSE. All right, so referring back to the English Composition with Integrated Review materials, as I mentioned, this was designed specifically for the co-requisite courses. So you can see here on the screen, for every one of the integrated review titles, you will see the integrated review chapters which are the remedial concepts that are going to be covered within the support course, to provide them with a just-in-time approach to be able to go through the credit level chapter and lessons found within the credit level course. So again, everything that the students are going to need for both the support course alongside that credit level course. And this is exactly how it's going to look for them within our online courseware system. Within all of our online materials or English materials, we do provide the students with different strategies for academic success. So again, always just wanting to best prepare the students for their English courses by providing them with different things such as study strategies, online resources that they can find, stress management, and also writing with technology. So now that I went through each and every one of our English titles, I am now going to jump over to the student side of our platform to share with you how students will be experiencing our online courseware system. So I'm going to pull over my screen here and log in. And of course, students can log in directly from our website or through your learning management system. And everything I'm going to show you right now is going to be from the student's perspective. So exactly how students will be seeing their homework assignments and utilizing Hawks within the classroom. So you can see I have my English composition course listed here. I can click the blue View Course button right here at the top of the screen. And this is going to take me to my comprehensive to-do list. Now, this is just anything that you have assigned to your students. So this could be a Hawks pre-created homework assignment, quiz, test, paper and pencil assignment. It is completely up to you as the instructor. Also, everything is completely customizable here within Hawks. So if you want to change these headers from due today, due within a week, and due later to maybe specific units or writing assignments with the corresponding lessons below, you can definitely do that there. And then here within our English materials, we have 4 different types of assessments for the students. The first assessment is being lessons. So you can see that we have those pre-created homework assignments that are created for every single lesson throughout our entire textbook. So we make it really easy for you as the instructor just to go into the instructor side, choose a due date for the corresponding assignment that you would like to be assigned for your students. And then students will know to go ahead and get started on those right away. We also do have those chapter reviews available for every single chapter throughout our textbook as well. So in addition to lessons, we also have a web test. And this is where you would be able to create online quizzes and tests by using our comprehensive question bank. So you can pull questions from our question bank in order to create a quiz or a test for your students. Web test is really great as well if you are teaching face-to-face courses. You can create a test by using our question bank and export it directly to a Word document. And then you can print multiple versions for your students as well if you do want to have that face-to-face test for them. In addition to creating your own web test, we do have a pre-created grammar diagnostic assessment that's available as well. And this is going to give you a good overview of how well your students are familiar with grammar before coming into your class. So this is really great to assign at the very beginning of the semester. As the instructor, you will choose a proficiency level. And if the students reach that proficiency level on specific grammar objectives, it's going to go ahead and give them credit for what they already know for corresponding grammar assignments and leave them with a remainder of assignments to go through for those grammar topics that they didn't feel as comfortable or confident with. So it is going to put each student on their own individualized learning path so they can truly just focus on things that they don't feel as comfortable with when it comes to grammar. And of course, we provide you with all of the reporting tools as well, so you will be able to see and analyze exactly where each student stands as they come into your class once they take that grammar diagnostic assessment. And I'm going to jump into those reporting tools a little bit later just to show you what it looks like for your students there. And then again, you will see right here under web tests as well our writing prompts. I'll be walking you through these within the next mode that we're going to, or one of the next modes that we're going to go through. But this is just where we have writing prompts available for your students in every single lesson throughout our textbook. And you can assign each of these writing prompts for the students for a grade. Our next assessment that we are going to go through is going to be Smart Review. And this is our all-in-one paper submission platform that we have right here within Hawks. And we recommend that Smart Review is best used as a piece of the drafting process. So it is where students can come and upload their draft papers, and then other students would be able to jump in there and peer review their papers to give them different feedback and let them know, maybe where they may need to make those changes before submitting their final paper to you. So we're going to take a look at one of these Smart Review peer reviews right now. We can see here that the students submitted their draft paper for an upload, and then I was tagged to go in and peer review that paper. So I'm going to click Start to begin my peer review. And you can see here the student went ahead and added in their draft paper. As the instructor, you are able to choose the assignment description. So you can say that 3 tags and 3 comments are required for the students to be able to receive a 100% on this overall assignment. So then the student would be able to go in, click Add Tags and Comments, and then highlight specific areas. Once they highlight those areas, you can add that tag or comment there. And so it will pop up alongside that highlighted area for the student to see exactly where they may have gone wrong. As the instructor, you always have the ability to set these different categories for your rubric as well. So then students can go in and grade one another on how well they think that this overall draft was, and can also provide general comments. A peer review is not the only way that you can utilize Smart Review, though. I actually work with a lot of instructors that will come into Smart Review themselves and upload a different paragraph, or upload a paragraph that is instructor created, but will have lots of errors throughout. And so then the students will have to go in and highlight those specific errors for a grade. So you can definitely utilize it in many ways there. All right, and then our last tab up here at the top of the screen, materials, you can always add in additional materials for your students, such as different news articles, videos, links, readings, any additional materials you would like for them to see here. But I'm just going to go ahead and click into a lesson to walk you through a pre-created Hawks homework assignment. And every single time a student clicks onto a Hawks homework assignment, they're always going to be brought to this screen. And Hawks' unique mastery approach provides these 3 distinct modes. So we have Learn, Practice, and then Certify. And Learn and Practice were both designed to prepare the students for Certify, which is that homework portion where they will be receiving that grade. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of each. But beginning in Learn, this is going to be the multimedia presentation of the textbook. So everything that the students are going to need to know from the textbook or from the ebook, and we've pulled that information and placed it right here within these screens, but only on a per lesson basis. So only about 20 pages of bite-sized information for the students to go through to have a really good understanding of what is covered here within the professional writing lesson. Now, within the different squares or rectangles, you're going to see our engagement boxes. Those are things such as helpful hints, learn style tips, and group activities. You can see a couple of those listed here. But here, everything is 100% customizable by you as the instructor. So if you ever want to add in your own definition or note, or even embed your own video link, you'd be able to do so here. I have a lot of instructors that will upload their own lecture videos here, or even upload their own readings for the students to go through. And if you won't be covering anything found within our Learn pages, you can hide our pages completely or replace our pages with all of your own content. So it is completely up to you. We also have these on your own activities that are going to prompt the students to enter in their answers for an immediate response, just for additional practice. We do have a watch button at the top left corner of the screen. That's going to provide the students with a lesson level overview video. So just an instructor narrating those key components covered in the overall lesson. And I'm going to move through these screens quickly to get to the very end to show you how we end each lesson. And we do that with a lesson wrap up. And that is going to contain those writing prompts that I showed you all under that web test tab, where you would be able to then assign specific writing prompts for the students to submit for a grade. We also have those key terms and definitions. And then lastly, we are always going to end each lesson with a writing application. And these are going to connect either to the students' personal, professional, or academic lives. And then we're always going to end with a short annotated essay, or for this instance, a short annotated resume, connecting what the students just learned here within this lesson to their professional lives. So now that the students just went all the way through practice and they have a good understanding of what's covered here within this lesson, they are ready to move on to learn, or I'm sorry, once they went through learn, they're then ready to move on to practice. Practice is that second mode of our 3-step learning path, where the students will be able to go and practice questions that are going to be similar to what they see later within Certify. However, here they can go through these questions as many times as needed until they're feeling comfortable and confident with answering each and every one of these questions. Also, the students will never be receiving 2 of the same questions, and it's always going to be in a randomized order as well. But here within practice, we do provide the students with a few different learning aids at the bottom of the screen. So students can skip through questions to get to the ones where they may need just a little bit more help. And if the students get to a question where they have no idea where to even begin, they can come click that tutor button at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. And that is going to provide the students with the hint screen, breaking down that question for them into the different key terms and definitions that were used throughout this question. So they can go through and read through those to figure out exactly where they may be going wrong, or just to help give them a little bit of a nudge in the right direction so they can go back and answer that question correctly a second time. They can always click back into those learn screens if needed, or click on solution. And that's going to show the students a fully worked out solution, just showing them the correct answer down there at the bottom of the screen, but then also an explanation of why that answer is actually correct. We can go back to practice and click try similar. Each time we click try similar, it's going to keep that same question type. However, it's going to change the examples throughout. So always going to be a different version. All right, and if the students get to a question that they answer that's incorrectly, they are going to see this explain error button pop up at the bottom of the screen. And any student can tell it, or any system can tell a student if they're correct or incorrect. But here at Hawks, we want to pinpoint that exact error that the student is making, so they know exactly how to go back and answer that question correctly a second time. So by clicking on explain error, that's exactly what we're going to provide to the students. We're going to take that question they were just given, explain that their answer is incorrect, but take it a step further by providing them with a really short response, explaining to them exactly why. So it looks like the answer I chose used that appropriately formal and professional language when it originally asked me to use the informal language. Tells me what to keep in mind going forward as I'm answering questions similar to this with the professional writing standards, and then how to best identify the answer choice when I go back to revisit that question. So ultimately here, we just want to give your students the best feedback possible. So similarly to the type of feedback that you would give to your students if you were able to sit down with them and go through every single question, which we know is absolutely impossible. And we also just want the students to not continually make these same mistakes going forward. We want to stop them right in their tracks and prevent that from happening. All right, so after the students go all the way through practice, they are then ready for Certify. And Certify is that homework portion where the students will be receiving that grade. I'm sure you can already see it does look very similar to practice. And just like in practice, students will never be receiving 2 of those same questions. But in order to make this a really effective learning tool, we have done just a couple of things differently here. And the first thing that we've done differently here within Certify is that we removed those learning aids that were just down there at the bottom of the screen. So now there's no longer that option for students to skip, try similar, tutor, or any of that here. because we want the students to prove to themselves that they can work through a set of questions from beginning to finish with little to no outside help. Because of course, they are not going to have that outside help to rely on later on down the road when they get to that quiz or testing environment. And we've just heard in way too many cases, the students will rely so heavily on these learning aids within the homework that they will be flying through and receiving a 100 on their homework assignments. But then when they get to that testing environment or get to a writing assignment and those learning aids are taken away from them, they are no longer able to stand on their own. So we want to prevent that at all costs by removing the learning aids here so that then the student's homework will then translate to those test scores. But then the second thing that we do differently here is we make our assignments mastery based. We set the mastery level at about 80%, and that just means that the students must get 80% of the questions correct in order to pass. And by pass, I mean they would then be rewarded with a 100% on this assignment for showing proficiency over the overall lesson. Now, of course, all of this is customizable for you. So you can always raise or lower that mastery level if you like to. You can change the questions that the student sees, create and add in your own questions, or simply just change the number of questions. But for this specific assignment, we do have 10 questions to go through. Of those 10, students are allowed to miss 2 questions and still pass. But if they miss a third question and they dip below that mastery level that's set for them, it will automatically take the students out of Certify and place them back into practice, where they are then given a customized set of questions based upon what they just missed here within Certify. So that is going to be a more adaptive component of Hawks. It's going to take the students back, allow them to remediate to figure out exactly where they're going wrong. So then they can utilize that tutor and explain error and see those mistakes that they're making. And then after remediating, students will come back into Certify to try again in order to reach that mastery level. And again, being rewarded with a 100% on this assignment. So ultimately, we just want to hold your students to a higher standard to allow them to build a really solid foundation of the content to ensure what they're learning here is going to translate to those higher stakes assignments. And typically, we see that this mastery approach is very motivational for the students, because sometimes students will be okay with getting 50s and 60s on their homework assignments. But here within Hawks, we do not think that is okay, because students are missing such a large piece of that homework assignment by getting that 50 or 60. So here we just push them a little bit further to reach that 80% mastery, and ultimately they're learning more in the end and truly mastering this content. So that is everything that I did want to show you when it comes to a homework assignment. I am going to jump back really quick to web tests and walk you through what it's going to look like for a student if they create their own practice test. Now, this is going to be the same functionality and the same look that it will look like if you are to give them an online web test as well. So I'll just go in and name my test. And then I'll be able to pick and choose different chapters and lessons to pull questions from. So say I am trying to prepare myself for an upcoming chapter 2 quiz. So I choose all of the chapter 2 lessons. I can choose a number of questions to go through and even set a time if I'm used to working in that timed environment. And as I click start, it is going to populate a practice test for me to go through to really assist with answering the similar question types that I might see on my upcoming quiz or test. Students can go through and pick and choose answers. So I'm just going to click a few different ones here. They can also hide the ones they've answered to jump to the questions they have not yet answered. And they can also click that I to hide that time if that's a point of anxiety for them. And lastly, they're going to submit that assignment once it is completed, and they will receive their performance breakdown by lesson. So then the students will be able to review how well they just did on that practice test and see where they may need to focus a little bit more before that upcoming quiz. So here we can see every lesson that we pulled out. And then it does not look like I did so well on lesson 2.1. I did answer a couple of those questions incorrectly. So I can actually click directly onto the bar graph to bring up additional questions to go through, similar to those that I just missed. So that was just about everything that I did want to show you on the student side of the platform. Next, I'm going to jump over to our instructor side, and this is what we call Hawks Teach. And you're going to log into your Hawks Teach account if you ever use Hawks within the future, and you're going to see all of your Hawks courses listed right here for you. So I'm just going to click into my English composition course. We have some fake students enrolled in here, so you'll be able to see some of the reporting tools that we are able to use. So clicking on that reports page, we have tons of different reports for you as the instructor to be able to analyze where your students stand when it comes to the classroom. But one of my favorite reports is going to be up here under key reports, and that's all student scores. You will be able to pull all of your students within a specific section, or just from all of your sections if you'd like to review how well they're doing in the course. So this is going to be their typical or your typical grade book view. You can see the students that have certified in your homework assignments, or the ones that have not certified just yet or completed it late. Now, if you do need to edit a student's specific score or due date, you can just click directly onto that little picture there and click to edit the score or edit the due date directly from here. So you make it really easy for you as the instructor, just with the click of a button. And then the next reporting tool that I wanted to share is Assignment Reviewer. Now, this is our data and analytics tool that's going to provide you with a big picture overview on how well your students are doing in your overall course for specific lessons or tests that you provide to them. So here you can see this bar graph that is going to list out all of the assignments that you have assigned to your students. And it's going to show you the number of students that have certified, have not, or completed it late, or have not certified at all. And it's going to provide you with similar information down here at the bottom of the screen as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click into a specific lesson, lesson 1.1. And every time you click into Assignment Reviewer, it's going to share more and more information with you about your students and how well they're doing. So once I clicked into that overall assignment, it's going to show me how well each and every student did on that homework assignment. I can filter out the ones that have mastered versus not mastered or didn't even try. I can also see the individual time on task data. So how long each student spent in each learn, practice, and certify. And then if I want to go through and review any student, I can just click directly onto their name here. And that is going to open up our Assignment Reviewer. And that is where you can go in and review their individual attempts. So if a student came to you and had a question about a specific question, and you wanted to see which answers they submitted, you can click directly onto that review attempt. It is going to allow you to go through each and every question that students answered. You can jump around between the ones they've answered correctly versus incorrectly. You can see what the answer or what answer the student submitted, but what the correct answer actually is. And then also that explain error feedback that the student received when they answered that question incorrectly. So jumping back to Assignment Reviewer, the last piece here is analytics. And this is where you will be able to see the percentage of students that answered the questions correctly versus incorrectly for the specific assignment. So we can see right off the bat that number 5 was the most commonly missed question, with 33% of the students answering the question incorrectly. And you can actually click directly onto that 5 to bring up a question very similar to the ones that the students answered incorrectly. There are no student names on this page, so you can even pull this up in class and walk the students through it and complete this question altogether. All right, so now jumping out of the instructor side and going back to my PowerPoint. Let me swap this here. We just walked through Hawks Teach, but a few other things that I do want to share before we wrap up, just some of those additional resources that we do have. So we have chapter projects available for every single chapter throughout all of our materials as well. These are very collaborative and can be used for individual or group projects for your students, just to really help promote those critical thinking skills. So we provide you with a PDF of these within your instructor resources. We also have writing assignments located throughout as well, in addition to all of those readings and different writing prompts that we have. So it provides the students with multi-part question prompts. As I mentioned, we do have those writing prompts that can also be assigned to the students, found at the end of every single lesson within our lesson wrap-up. Those writing environments that are going to connect to the students' professional, academic, or everyday lives, just to make sure that we provide them with readings and examples that are as relatable as possible to every student. Also, we always provide you with the ability to customize these materials. So you can create your own assignments, create and add in your own questions, even provide the students with your own explain error and tutoring feedback. You have that ability to edit our learn screens or also require practice for your students. Also, we always provide the students with a superior feedback and learning aids that are found within explain error and tutor. Also, the removal of those learning aids. So having the learning aids within practice, but then removing those within Certify to show transparency in the overall system, so the students know exactly where they stand when it comes to our materials. Next, that reminder of our adaptive learning piece. So if the students do not certify that first time, it's going to stop them right in their tracks and let them know right away they did not certify. They did not reach the end and receive that coin, so they will have to go back to practice those missed questions in order to finally certify to receive that grade. Just some additional resources that we have, as I mentioned, in addition to those chapter projects, we have instructor PowerPoints available for every single lesson throughout our entire, throughout all of our textbooks and all of our materials. And then also those lesson level videos on that little watch button. So just to put a little bit of graphics with our reporting and analytics tools, in addition to the ones I just walked you through, as a reminder, we do have that pre-created grammar diagnostic assessment. As the instructor, you're going to set that proficiency level. You can choose whatever you like, but we always recommend to set it at about 80%. And then as the students take that grammar diagnostic, it is going to let them know how well they did on it, but then how well they may not have done on other lessons. So then it's going to give them credit for what they already know, where they reach that proficiency level in these corresponding lessons, but then where they also did not reach the proficiency level and where they'll need to go through and answer each and every one of those questions within those lessons to still certify. As the instructor, you'll see on your side, it is going to provide you with that report. So the percentage of students that answered those questions correctly versus incorrectly, if they were able to certify on those and opt out of the homework assignment for the things they already knew. And we do have a web test objective report as well. This is a really great tool, especially to help with accreditation purposes and things like that, or just for you to be able to analyze if your students are accurately meeting the student learning outcomes that you have set. So you would tie specific test questions to your learning objectives to see how many students are reaching those objectives that have been set. And again, we provide you with that reporting tool, letting you know if students met or failed that objective for the course. So as we wrap up, just want to share a few key takeaways as I leave you today when it comes to our Hawks Learning English materials. One being that we have designed these materials specifically for the English courses. So for developmental English, the support course, the co-requisite, and also English Composition 1, in addition to those supplementary materials that we have, like our grammar notebooks, the reader, and our reading and writing handbook. We are focused on lesson level mastery instead of question level mastery like some other systems. We provide error specific feedback every time a student answers a question that's incorrect. Students will have no access to those learning aids on their graded homework. All of our content is customizable. We provide you with those ample reporting tools to really track your student success, and then also always providing that free and unlimited training and support. So that was everything I did want to walk you all through today, and happy to answer any questions that you do have. I see we had a few come through in the chat.
Yeah, and I'll hop on real quick and say we do have a few minutes. So if anybody has any additional questions, you still have time to submit them into the Q&A area. So feel free to go ahead and do that. But as you said, Sydney, we did have a couple questions here. So one person said, I have an author friend who provides e-text for my students. I currently load the PDF into my Blackboard shell. Could Hawks accommodate that? And if they do, what would happen to the copyright? So I don't know about that second part, but definitely I'll let you speak to the others.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can load in different texts and readings and things like that in directly into our learn screens or also into that materials tab. So that is completely up to you on where you would like to place that into our system to customize it for your students. I always think it is great to put it right there within those learn screens. So the students are going to see our content and then the additional content that you provide to them below. When it comes to copyright, it definitely depends on if your friend has a copyright on those specific materials, but you aren't selling them to students or anything like that, so it should not be an issue. But I would double check with your friend that provides and creates that e-text just to see if they do have copyright or if they would approve of you providing that to your students. It looks like you already do provide it through PDF into Blackboard, so this would work the exact same way. You would just be placing that PDF into our materials instead of Blackboard.
Awesome. All right. And then we had another question from them. They said, I'd also like to hear how Hawks could assist in program assessment across various sections of a single course in terms of the elements we're required to report on, critical thinking and written communication. And they said there are, of course, specific objectives within each area.
Absolutely. So we can definitely help with those program assessments. And we do that with a lot of our current customer schools right now. And we utilize that web test objective reporting tool, which is a really, really great tool. And it is where you will go through and tie specific questions to your objectives within the course. So specifically, if you want to focus on the critical thinking or written communication objectives, you would go through and pick and choose questions you would like to tie to that objective. And then as the students take that test and answer those questions, it will then provide you with a percentage of students that met that objective if they answered those questions correctly, or if the students did not meet those objectives. So again, you definitely have all of the reporting options for you there, where you will be able to jump in and analyze if your students do meet that criteria when it comes to those objectives that you have set. So that's a really great report to use for that.
Awesome. So that was our last question that we did have. We did have somebody pop in and say thank you, that this was very informative. So I appreciate you saying that. I know Sydney does as well, I'm sure. But I will go ahead and say a quick thank you to Sydney, because we are getting really close to the end of our time here. And thank you for everyone else who attended today. We really do appreciate it. And now we're to the really fun part of this presentation where we get to do our giveaways. So each winner today will receive a $25 Amazon gift card, and we will get started here in just a moment. All right. And our first winner for the spin and win. All right, congratulations. All right, and our second winner for the spin and win. It's a close one. Congratulations, Heather. All right, and our third winner going to be Ying. Congrats. Awesome. So our next session is our lunch keynote speaker, Dr. Jackie Leone, and we'll begin at 1 p.m. Eastern time. The keynote presentation will be held in this virtual room. You can view the chat for the conference website for a complete list of our scheduled sessions and their descriptions. While accessing the conference website, please do not forget to swing by the virtual exhibit hall to say hello to the Hawks team. While there, you can view a quick 5-minute demonstration, request your t-shirt, and be entered to win a $50 hourly giveaway, which is going to be one of a Amazon gift card, Barnes & Noble gift card, or Ticketmaster gift card. Also, in the spirit of St. Patrick's Day, you'll find a few golden coins hidden throughout the conference website. You can click on those coins to be entered to win an additional raffle. We thank you all for attending, and we look forward to seeing you at the next session.